From botched abductions to being raised in an evil cult. Let's get into some crazy family secrets celebrities have tried to hide from the public. Sofia has a younger brother named Julio who has lived with illegal substance dependency for many years, resulting in many run-ins with the law. In 2011, this ultimately resulted in Julio being deported back to Colombia. When speaking about her younger sibling, Vargas said, to see somebody ending their life prematurely over 10 years, little by little, that's the worst punishment. Now he's like another person. It's sad to hear this, but it should serve as a reminder to everyone that fame does not automatically make one's life is easily peachy or simple. This is not the first family tragedy, though, that Sofia has lived through. Her older brother met his tragic end in 1998 after a botched abduction attempt, and lived her older brother, Rafael, who was 28 at the time, was a target because he came from a successful family. And although Sofia's siblings, usually traveled with bodyguards, he was not traveling with one. That day, Sofia described this incident as a nightmare and something that destroyed her entire family. As unfortunate as it is to hear these tales about her family, it is good to see, though, that she has managed to make something special from her life and find her success. Rihanna has been one of pop's biggest princesses for the last decade or so. And aside from, her vocal abilities and contributions to the music industry, she also appeared in several films, of varying degrees of quality, of course. I mean, she started her film career off on shaky ground with 2012's Battleship, but has steadily, participated in better projects since then. The Barbados-born singer, has had her personal life thrust into the spotlight in several occasions. But there is one thing that some people still may not know. Her father, Ronald Fenty, is somewhat of a womanizer and an all-around, wild guy throughout her childhood. Her father had struggles with illegal substance, dependency. This resulted in the deterioration of her parents' marriage, also created a lot of financial struggles and challenges. In a shockingly candid interview with The Mirror in 2007, Rihanna opened up about her family's history. She talked about her and her siblings watching her father struggle with substance dependency issues. Additionally, her father's, philandering ways gave Rihanna several half-siblings from different women through these actions would, understandably put a strain on any relationship. It appears that Rihanna and her father do get along great these days. A couple of years ago, the singer bought a mansion in Barbados is worth more than $1 million just for him. She also paid for her father to receive top quality medical treatment for an injury sustained in a severe car AC accident. Her father struggled, to stay sober over the years. But in 2013, Rihanna put him through a 58 Euro Malibu rehab program, and while that was super generous, it ultimately did not work, And in 2014, at Rihanna's inaugural Diamond Ball in Beverly Hills, Ronald reportedly was kicked out for crazy behavior. He was under the influence. Of course, and this was before she even arrived. Now, fast forward to 2019, news broke that Rihanna was suing her father because, Ronald created a company called Fenty Entertainment in 2017, but Riri already trademarked Fenty at that point. Now, Ronald is like a business partner who's unknown, allegedly, falsely advertised themselves as Rihanna's reps to solicit, millions of dollars, including trying to book her for about 15 shows in Latin America that just didn't exist now. Despite all of this, Rihanna is still here for her when he needs her, so that sweet Wood Harrelson, it's so hard to imagine what it must have been like for Cheers fans to first watch him in his breakout film back in 1998. Now, the lovable and rarely intelligent Woody Boyd all of a sudden became the psychopathic criminal Mickey Knox in the movie wreaking havoc throughout the country in the wildly entertaining and poignant, Oliver Stone-directed film. Now, the juxtaposition of these two roles is a perfect example of Harrison's incredibly versatile range. The Mickey Knox's role is a little coincidental because the actor's father was actually paid to eliminate people. Charles Harrelson wasn't a nobody either, as his name will forever go down. In infamy as committing the first assassination of a federal judge in the 20th century, it was the assassination of federal judge John Wooder in San Antonio, Texas. Charles was convicted of the crime in 1979 and sentenced to 2 life terms in prison. He was a hitman. It's even reported that he had business cards that advertised himself as such, and he was allegedly reported having unalived like 20 people. His lawyer was insanely good, though, at getting him off, and he was untouchable for a while. This specific crime of unal living, the judge is the one who him caught and convicted. Now for what? He did eventually reconnect with his father, and he's said to have regularly visited him in prison. I think it was like once a year. Now, Charles Carlson passed away, sly in prison in 2009 at the age of 68. Now, it is a bizarre, revelation to discover that your father is not only a criminal, but a notorious one. What's crazier about this story, though, is that Woody didn't find out until he was like 20 years old one day, and he heard the story while he was driving his car. And it was on the radio. His father left the family when he was just a kid, and so he didn't even know anything. That's crazy. And for Woody's sake, I sure hope the apple fell very far from the tree. Although in the 80s and 90s, he spent millions of dollars trying to get his dad a new trial, he said he was just trying to be a son helping his dad. Charlie Saron. See, any person passing can be very traumatic enough, but when they were only a teenager, when she witnessed her mother blast her alcoholic father in self-defense on June 21st, 1991, her mother, whose name is Germeritz, unalive, her father, and it took place on their farm in South Africa. Now, according to reports, Charles, there was a violent man who had a history of physically and emotionally tormenting his wife and daughter. On the night of the incident, he allegedly came home very drunk and began threatening and hitting both children, her mother and self. Defense, Guerra grabbed the firearm and blasted him, which unlived him. Now, Charlie's was only a teenager and witnessed the entire incident. Guerra was arrested and charged with manslaughter, but she was later acquitted due to the circumstances of the case. In the court did rule that she acted in self-defense to protect herself and her daughter. The experience definitely left an emotional scar, though there rarely talks about the situation at all. But she has expressed her support and love for her mother, who she credits with saving her life that night, and she's admitted that the traumatic experience has changed the way she plays certain roles. Joaquin Phoenix, American actor, known for his roles in Gladiator, Joker, and Way Walkie Line, was originally born in Puerto Rico with the name when Rafael Botom. Now his parents were a part of the Children of God, which is a notorious cult that had more than 100 communities worldwide. It's known now as the Family. The international cult was founded in the 1960s by David Burr, emphasized, free love, communal living, and prelinger, like me, and unaware of what that refers to the act of attempting to convert someone from one religious belief or opinion to another. This can involve, like preaching, teaching, or promoting a particular ideology or faith with the goal of persuading others to adopt. Itaniwe Keen's parents, John Lee Bottom and Arlene Sharon Dunitz, were both members of the cult when he was born in 1974. Now the family actually traveled extensively, spreading this and performing music. And while Keen has spoken about the unconventional and often unstable upbringing he experienced. However, in 1978, when Wen was about 4 years old, his parents left the cult, due to concerns about its increasingly authoritarian and exploitive practices. Now they fled the cult and moved to America, settled first in Florida, and later moved to Los Angeles, where Joaquin began his acting career. Joaquin has spoken publicly about the difficulties of his childhood and the challenges of adjusting to life outside the cult. Despite all of this, he has also credited, his unconventional upbringing with shaping his creativity and worldview. He also credits, a lot of his life's work to his late brother, River, who was also a very successful actor and sadly passed at a young age. Now, speaking of cults, Rose McCallum was born into the same cult as Joaquin Phoenix. Yes, you heard me right, that's crazy, I know, the same, but lust in a different community. And Country Rose's parents were heavily involved in the Children of God. Rose was born on September 5th, 1973, in Florence, Italy, to Daniel McCallan and Terry McCallan. Now at the time, her parents were part of Children of God. Now, when Rose was 10 years old, her family decided to flee the cult forever when they started to see women being mistreated and forced to act as servants to the men in the community. In various interviews, Rose has credited her father with saving her and her siblings from the cult. She's described how her father became, disillusioned with the cult's practices and decided to escape, saying they left in the middle of the night, taking his whole family with him. She said he made that decision to protect them, and she has spoken about the difficulties they faced after leaving, including adjusting to mainstream society and dealing with the trauma they experienced. While actually in the scene now, Rose to this day has been such an outspoken critic and has used her platform to raise awareness about the dangers of cult and the importance of just protecting children from it. That's all for today. Which one shocked you the most? Let me know your thoughts. I'm your host, Blake. It's been great catching up.